bit earlier on as well, I also got the view of the Shadow Chancellor, Sir Mel Stride, about all of this. Shadow Chancellor, when the Tories were in government from 2010 to 2024, there was a net loss of more than 10,000 pubs. That's a drop of around 20%. Why wasn't more done then to look after them?
Well, I think we did do a lot. And if you remember, through COVID, through the furlough scheme, we did a massive amount to support businesses, including pubs, up and down the country. What we're seeing with this government is pubs closing primarily because of the kind of tax and regulatory approach that they're taking. So we've seen business rates spiking up. We've seen national insurance on people that work in pubs, particularly affects lower paid people, younger people getting that first job. And we've got the employment rights legislation coming down the line that's going to make it more expensive, more onerous to recruit and employ people. And if you add all those things up, that's why those kind of businesses are really suffering.
Yeah, the government would say those young people getting those first jobs are now being better paid by the hour because the minimum wage has gone up. You talk about spikes in rates. There was a spike in rates in 2017 with the revaluation then. Things went up nearly 15%. You talk about the relief during COVID, which was, of course, relatively generous, but also very temporary. You could have done more sooner.
Well, we came in, particularly for retail, hospitality and leisure, with very significant reliefs for those particular businesses, which carried on right until the end of our time in office. Now, this government has chosen to phase that out. They've also had their re-evaluation, and this has also led to a huge increase in some of the rates that are being paid by those businesses. I was just doing another interview and there was somebody on there talking about it's all very well to get £300 or £400 back due to the changes announced today, but my costs have gone up, he's saying, by £20,000. Now, that's not all rates. 6 of that was rates, I think. The rest of it is national insurance, which, as I say, particularly hits those younger people getting that first job.
OK, well, you would abolish rates entirely. I think that's one of your
high street rates. We would provide a relief up to £110,000 for any retail, hospitality or leisure business, so mainly high street, pubs, restaurants,
and that would be
shops.
100% relief?
That's it. That would be, yes. So the first £110,000 that you fall due to pay by way of rates, you would have complete relief from that. So for about 250,000 businesses, they would be taken out of rates altogether. But the only way you can do that is by controlling spending, particularly the welfare bill, getting people off benefits into
So that's how you get the £4 billion you'd need to do that. So that's how you get that money.
Absolutely right. Now, if you duck the hard decisions around controlling welfare spending and benefit spending, as this government has, you can't afford to do that. And that's why they're constantly going back to business, loading on those costs to the extent that many of them are simply becoming unviable. It's why we've got the highest unemployment in 5 years. You mentioned people on the minimum wage. Fine, if you've got a job, that's fine, but too many young people are not getting jobs. We've got around 900,000 young people who are not in employment training or education at the moment, and those numbers have been going up. So these are the kind of things that happen when you make employment more expensive, which is what this government's done.
When was the last time you were in your local?
Oh, certainly within the last week.
You had a pint?
Yeah, I did, absolutely.
Expensive these days to have a pint.
Yeah, very expensive.
Look, against that backdrop, younger people are also drinking less alcohol these days. Pubs are not attracting people to have a drink and therefore revenue for those pubs on the alcohol. What would you do there? I mean, VAT is chargeable on 0% beers, for example. What about cutting that to give them a break?
We need to look, as a party as we are, at all aspects of business, because what we want to do is to get those business costs down, but we want to do it in a way that is responsible and affordable. In other words, we've got to deal with a growing debt that we've got at the moment. It's got a big debt problem, at the same time as making savings that we can put in to tax cuts. So they're all things that we're considering in terms of putting our plan forward to boost business.
Quick word on the Gorton and Denton by-election, which is happening in around about a month's time. Reform have announced that Matthew Goodwin, the academic, is going to be their candidate when that by-election happens. We don't know who the Conservatives candidate is yet, but you came 5th last time round. Will you definitely field a candidate there when...
Without question, we will field a candidate. I think it's fair to say, Matt, that, that is a ultra-safe Labour seat, historically at least. There hasn't been a Conservative victory there in 50 years.
No, but it's
So I think
historically...
the expectations are relatively low, but we will fight for every single vote.
Yeah, because historically, in the constituencies that ended up forming Gorton and Denton, you've been second for a long, long time, but relegated to fifth last time. Is it almost worth the bother this time round?
Well, we will always give people an option to vote for a Conservative candidate in general elections and in by-elections, and that's the right thing to do. We will fight for every single vote. I think the big story with that particular by-election, of course, is Andy Burnham and all the psychodrama about whether the National Executive Committee would let him stand or not, which is a reflection on the parlous position of this Prime Minister amongst his own parliamentary party.
If you were watching the Politics Hub last night, we banned the word psychodrama. We'll let you have that one. We'll let you have that one.
Get that one for free. Okay.
Mel Stride, thank you very much.
Thank you.